Hi, I'm Jennifer from Workroom Social, and today I'm going to show you how to make a French seam. So we have our two pieces of fabric here that we want to sew together, and we want to sew this with a French seam. To get a good idea of what that would look like, we should identify our wrong sides of the fabric. So here we have our two wrong sides. Now, this is one of the few things that you will sew with wrong sides together. So you want to take your two X's and match them up. And then you are going to sew a narrow seam allowance. We are going to sew about 1/4 of an inch. So I'm just lining up my fabric with the outside of my presser foot. And that's about 1/4 of an inch. And then you're just gonna sew a straight stitch, and I'm on a 2.5 millimeter stitch length. Okay, and then after you sew the two wrong sides together, you want to press this seam flat. You don't need to iron it, but if you just finger press this to get the seam to open up a little bit. Okay, and then that helps this side lie a little bit flatter. Now what we're gonna do is we're gonna take some scissors and we're gonna trim away about 1/8 of an inch from the seam allowance. So we're cutting the seam allowance in half. And now is the time that we're gonna sew right sides together. So with our right sides facing us, we're going to lay right sides together, and we are going to do our best to push out this seam so it's nice and flat. Grab some pins. You can pin it in place to hold it. Okay, so we have our seam all pinned into place, so now it's time to sew. Before we do that though, you should think about your seam allowance. So I'm gonna do, my total seam allowance is 5/8 of an inch, which is a very common seam allowance. And we sewed the first narrow seam at 1/4 of an inch. So 5/8 minus 1/4 is 3/8. So to get the total 5/8, right now I need to take this back to the sewing machine and sew a 3/8 seam allowance. So I'm gonna line up my fabric with that 3/8 marker that is on my seam guide, and I'm just gonna sew a straight stitch following that guide. And then when you're done, you can take this to the ironing board and you're gonna press your seam to one side because it can't open anymore. Our French seam encloses the raw edge within this bit. So this is the right side of our fabric, and then this is the wrong side of our fabric with our French seam.